Time to do some conversions. Let's do an easy one first. Say you need to convert from kilometers to meters. What would you do? The first step would be to write out your initial value, which is 500 kilometers. You know that 500 kilometers is really 500 over 1. Then you would need to multiply by your conversion. So you look at the three conversions that you have and try to think about which of the three you need to use. You would know that you'd have to use the first one because the first conversion includes the units that you're starting out with, which is kilometers, because you're given 500 kilometers, and it has the units that you want to end up with, which is meters. The next thing that you need to do is to figure out what should go in the top and what should go in the bottom. Because you want to be able to cross out your kilometers, this 1 kilometer needs to go at the bottom, and the 1,000 meters needs to go the top. Once you have it set up like this, you can cross out your kilometer units, and then you'll be left with the units that you want, which is meters. Then what you do is you plug this into your calculator. So when you're multiplying fractions, you multiply the two values as your numerator together, and then you multiply the two denominators together. So in this case, 500 multiplied by 1,000, if you plug that into your calculator, you should get 500,000. Right. The units there would be meters, so that carries over 1 times 1, which is 1. And your answer, final answer, would be 500,000 meters. Let's do the second example. Say you need to go from meters to kilometers. The first thing that you would do is to write out the value that you are given, so 7 meters. 7 meters is really 7 over 1. Then you multiply it by your conversion. You know you're choosing the first conversion because it has the units that you're starting out with, which is meters, and the units that you want to end up with, which is kilometers. Then you need to decide what goes on the top, what goes on the bottom. You want to be able to cross out the meter units, so then the meter value should go the bottom. So you'd write 1,000 meters, right, is equal to 1 kilometer. Now you can cross out your units, then multiply your numerators together. So 7 times 1 is 7. You carry your units, kilometers, over 1 times 1,000 is 1,000. Then you plug this into your calculator, 7 divided by 1,000. You should get 0.007 kilometers. Let's try some trickier conversions. Say you need to convert 8.6 light years into kilometers. The first thing that you would do is you would write out the value that you're given, so 8.6 light years. You know that that is really 8.6 over 1. Then you have to multiply it by one of these three conversions. You know that you need to choose this third one because it has the units that you start out with, which is light years, and the units that you want to end up with, which is kilometers. Then now you need to figure out what goes on the top, what goes on the bottom. Because you want to be able to cross out your light years, 1 light year should go at the bottom, and the 9 times 10 to the power of 12 kilometers needs to go on the top. Now what you would be doing is you're going to be plugging these two values into your calculator. Don't forget to include the brackets when you're plugging them into your calculator. So you're plugging in 8.6 times, open bracket, 9 times 10 to the power of 12, close bracket, equals. The value you should get is 7.74 times 10 to the power of 13. And your units would be kilometers. Now if you're looking at this value, 7.74 times 10 to the power of 13, that answer has 3 sig figs. But your question has 2 sig figs. So that means your final answer should be in 2 sig figs, not 3. So this could be rounded to 7.7 times 10 to the power of 13 kilometers. Now let's do the second part. Now you have to convert your value into astronomical units. So you would start off with this value. You've got 7.7 times 10 to the power of 13 kilometers, which is really that over 1. Then you need to multiply it by one of these conversions. You know you're picking the second one because it has the units that you want to end up with and the units that you're starting with. Then you know that the kilometer value, 1.5 times 10 to the power of 8, should be at the bottom because you want to be able to cross out those units, and that means AU is at the top. Then what you would do is you would plug this into your calculator. So this is 7.7 times 10 to the power of 13 times 1, which is still 7.7 times 10 to the power of 13. Then you multiply your denominators. 1 times 1.5 times 10 to the power of 8. So that's still 1.5 times 10 to the power of 8. Then make sure you use your brackets because you're going to have to divide these two values. So you're plugging in open bracket 7.7 times 10 to the power of 13 close bracket divided by open bracket 1.5 times 10 to the power of 8 close bracket equals. The value you should get is 5, 1, 3, 3, 3, 3 decimal 3, 3, 3 AU. However, this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sig figs, and your answer should only be in 2 sig figs. So then you need to convert this whole value into 2 sig figs, and you can do that by converting it into scientific notation. So then what you would get is 5.1 times 10 to the power of, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 to the power of 5, oops, 10 to the power of 5, AU.